Domestic violence is a federal crime. As new laws are more consistently applied, this fact will sink into society's consciousness. Although it may take a bit longer before men shake the belief that they are entitled to push women around and get away with it. Nevertheless, the law is now on our side, and there is ever-widening network of help available. Police, court, hospitals, domestic violence shelters. For most women, the way into the network begins with the police. Calling 911 sets the criminal justice system into motion when you are assaulted, terrorized, or stalked by your abusive, intimate partner. And can I make a side note, friends? They don't even have to be your partner, okay? Some of us are out here being assaulted, terrorized, and stalked by exes that we haven't seen in years. It's really ridiculous in these streets, so please be careful. Emerging police protocols. As a result of the 1994 Federal Anti-Crime Bill, which included the Violence Against Women Act, most police and sheriff's departments now have written protocols for domestic violence. Law enforcement officers are required to keep you safe if you are being abused by your intimate partner and to act as liaisons in a network of interventions to help you get away from the abuse. And now, in most states, they must arrest your abusive partner. If the police fail to keep you safe, they are liable. This liability grew out of a class action suit in California in 1977, in which 3 female attorneys sued the Oakland Police Department and the city of Oakland on behalf of women abused by violent men. This suit, the first in the domestic violence movement, resulted in new police procedures, police training, and city funding for local domestic violence shelters. In 1985, a woman in Torrington, Connecticut, won a $2 million settlement from the city for failure of the police department to protect her from her husband's violence. This case, the first tried in federal court, was a catalyst in Connecticut's passage of the 1986 Family Violence and Response Act, which now mandates arrest in domestic violence cases when probable cause exists. The 1994 Violence Against Women Act resulted from years of persistent lobbying by women's groups. Its passage created Justice Department funding to local communities to train the police and the courts in the realities of domestic violence and to coordinate efforts to help women to safety. It also provided for the National Domestic Violence Hotline, launched in 1996, so that women anywhere in the United States can be connected to the resources she needs to get away from a violent partner. All right, friends, this book copyrighted in 1997 and then again in 2009. Okay, might be slightly dated, so disclaimer that some of the new police sensitivity is really kind of old at this point, and they should all know better, but let's read along, shall we? Federal funds have helped develop domestic violence protocols in about half of the nation's police departments and sheriff's offices. In large metropolitan areas, police department specialists in community affairs and crime prevention have been joined by domestic violence officers whose job it is to help get the social and human services you need. However, in some communities, these officers are not always on duty at night or weekends, when most domestic violence incidents take place. Sunday night is the most common time for domestic violence, according to a study of their state by New Jersey's Coalition for Battered Women. In many communities where police have taken domestic violence seriously, their response has generally been applauded. In their first year of operation, with the help of the federal grants, the Domestic Violence Unit of the Metro Nashville Police Department investigated 18,000 domestic violence calls and reduced Nashville's domestic homicide rate by 71%. In the New York City Police Department, a domestic violence police program began in 1983, but it was not until 1994, 11 years later, that all of the precincts were required to have domestic violence officer. Whether or not there are domestic violence specialists in your community, all officers must follow the new rules. In rural areas, the reality may be different. While police may be just as concerned and cooperative, their ability might be limited by great distance and isolation. You might be served by a single county sheriff or deputy, or have to rely on the state police. If you live in a remote corner of a district with only one officer and another crime is happening at the same time, you may never get emergency help when you need it. It is therefore essential to develop a safety plan and be connected to a network of advocates who can help. What to tell the police when you call. If you are in immediate danger, always call 911 and try to give as much information as you can. The more the police know before they arrive, the more effective they will be. In a handful of communities, the police dispatcher can run a computer background check immediately in order to let the responding officers know whether there have been similar calls to your address in the past. If an order of protection is in effect, or if a gun is registered to anyone. Although police computer networks are improving in Hawaii, there is a model plan to have computers in the police cars. Most background checking goes through, okay, we're not talking about that because that's old and outdated at this point. Let's see. Most of the information is determined later after the police have filed a report at the station house, so the more information you can provide, the better the help they can be. Try to tell them if you or your abuser are at the same location, if you are being threatened with a weapon, if there are children present, if the assault is still in progress, if a protective order exists, if anyone has been using drugs or drinking, how badly you or anyone else is injured, and if you are disabled. In most emergencies, you won't have enough time to remember all of this, but the more information the radio dispatcher is able to give the police in the street, the more effective and efficient their response will be. For example, if police know your abusive partner has a gun, they might call for backup, or They will come without sirens so they can catch the man off guard. In some jurisdictions, police are instructed to approach all domestic violence calls silently. Many officers do not park directly in front of the house. Folks, that's not true nowadays. There are a bunch of idiots. They come flying in with their lights on and they're just boop boop right in front of the house. But bless them. Hopefully some of them are learning how to take all domestic calls silently. Okay? You don't catch the criminal with your lights on. Just saying. This caution, and by knocking on the door, this caution is necessary to avoid provoking the assailant, who might take you hostage or kill you. Heaven help us. And to protect officers as well. Domestic violence calls are the 5th most dangerous police assignment. In 1996, a young police officer was killed in New York City when he was shoved into a broken mirror by an enraged man who had been beating up his common-law wife. A police lieutenant was shot and killed when he went to aid of a woman who was being stalked by a former boyfriend. Okay, friends, it's so unfortunate that this is probably more common than it was then. Be alert, be on guard, be aware of not only your surroundings, but what's going on in your friend's life. If you are being assaulted and yanked away from the phone, try to leave it off the hook and keep talking or screaming so police can trace the call and find you. The priority police give to your call depends on the degree of immediate danger conveyed in your call, as well as what else is going on in their district at the time. If there are 2 armed robberies in progress, the police response to your call might not be as fast, but in areas with substantial police force, somebody will come. In many cities, domestic violence calls receive the 2nd highest priority after calls to assist an officer in trouble. Wow, I hope that becomes the priority. 2nd highest priority call after an assist of an officer in trouble. Heaven help us. Never put yourself in greater danger than already exists. If you can remain where you are until police arrive, then you will be able to explain what happened. If, however, you need to leave the scene to protect yourself, then do so. If you are gone when police arrive, they will talk to your abusive partner, who is likely to tell them nothing is wrong. They will make a report anyways because there was a call about the violence. If you are not a citizen, okay, who only knows if this is still true, friends, so it's from 1996, so I guess you'll have to do your research, friends. But if you are a lawful permanent resident or possess a valid visa, you have the same rights as anyone else. New immigration laws meant you cannot be deported but for calling the police to report domestic abuse. I did not know this. Interesting. You are still entitled to help from the police and safety from the violence. You can go to a shelter and also temporary restraining order against your abuser. In 1996, the Immigration and Naturalization Service ruled that abused spouse and children of legal residents can petition for legal status on their own, so you need not choose between abuse and deportation. Some communities, like Albuquerque, New Mexico, with a large immigrant population, have created special domestic violence programs such as the Albuquerque Border City Project, to facilitate response to immigrant women. What the police will do. When the police arrive, go into another room with the officer so you can speak without being shouted down or interrupted. To try to tell them what happened and ignore any taunts from your abusive partner. He knows he can be arrested and might try to appear rational and calm so he can talk his way out of an arrest. Though your home might be filled with broken furniture and shattered glass, though you might be crying and terrified, he will point to you and say, "You, look at her." Oh my God, it's so annoying. She's the one who's out of control. Seriously. Oh, they cannot handle it. If your injuries are not visible, he may even deny attacking you. If you are obviously injured, he may call or claim that you hit him first and that he had to defend himself and that it is your fault. She made me do it. She insulted my manhood. Try not to respond to this lame excuse of a chronic abuser. Let me say that again, ladies. Lame excuse of a chronic abuser. Let me say it one more time for the fellas in the back who can't hear. Lame excuse of chronic abuser. There is, no excuse. There is no excuse. There is no excuse. You are not responsible for his violence. I'm going to say it again, ladies. You are not responsible for his violence. One more time. You are not responsible for his violence. He is. The evidence at the scene speaks for itself. The fact that you or someone called and said you were being attacked is all you need. Describe the violence as accurately as you can. Give them a blow-by-blow account of what happened. Officers at the scene may also interview children, other family members, and neighbors who might have seen or heard the violence. If your violent partner has fled by the time police arrive, the police will have to go find him. This can be done immediately or after the warrant has been issued for his arrest. Police will need your help in finding and identifying him. Give them addresses of friends and relatives, known hangouts, his workplace, car license plate number, and photo. If police do not take away your abusive partner, they can take you away after they wait while you collect your belongings, such as clothes, important papers, medications, money, and the evidence of domestic violence. They can also are not extremely helpful when your neighbors are the ones that are being domestically violent, okay? They don't always act so helpful. So be careful, friends. Be on guard. They can take you, or you should go to, how about that, the home of a friend or relative in the area, or to a police station where they can help you locate the nearest family violence shelter. Because shelters are so crowded, they may have to take you to your community's emergency shelter. If the police take away your abuser, they might be able to offer you help in getting your locks changed and obtaining an emergency protective order while the abusive man is in custody. Ask them to let you call your local or national domestic violence hotline. If your police department has domestic violence officers, They will be able to give you more information. Going to the hospital. Oh, I hope you don't have to. If you are injured or in shock, police should call for an ambulance or take you to the hospital emergency room or to your own physician or clinic. If that is an option, hospitals are also operating under new rules about domestic violence, and if they do not help you, they can lose their accreditation. Never refuse medical attention. It is imperative to seek an objective medical opinion and evaluation. Many bruises and fractures are not always apparent right away. Injuries could swell and discolor later. If you have dark skin, discoloration may not be noticeable until hours later or when swelling begins. You could be unaware of internal bleeding or contusions that will cause problems later. A physician can examine you for deeper injuries as well as signs of long-term abuse and make a diagnosis for treatment as well as a medical report you can use as evidence in getting a protective order or following up with criminal charges. Good luck, ladies. Get all the reports you can. CYA, cover your assets. If you are pregnant, that's also an asset, ladies. Let police know right away. Nearly half of all women who are beaten up by intimate partners are pregnant. That's so true. Nearly half of all women who are beaten up by intimate partners are pregnant. Nearly half, ladies. Yep. I will attest to that. Any kind of trauma can harm your baby. More babies are born with birth defects as a result of domestic violence than a combination of all diseases for which we now immunize pregnant women. Ooh, I'm gonna read that again for y'all in the back. Any kind of trauma can harm your baby. Protect the babies, Lord, from all the trauma. More babies are born with birth defects as a result of domestic violence than a combination of all diseases and illnesses for which we now immunize pregnant women. Sweet Jesus. An abused mother is 2 times more likely to miscarry and 4 times more likely to have a low birth weight baby. Yep, got 2. In Chapter 5, you will find more information about getting medical care and how hospitals can help you. Confiscation of weapons. Police will also remove any weapons or potentially harmful instruments like baseball bats if they believe they were used to assault you, even if no arrest is made. Weapons are used in 30% of domestic violence incidents, according to the Bureau of Justice Statistics. And of these weapons, 40% are knives or sharp instruments, 34% guns, 12% blunt objects, 15% other weapons. A weapon includes not only a gun or knife, but also objects used as weapons, such as a piece of furniture, a lamp, rope, or chains. If you have a protective order against your abusive partner, the federal law prohibits him from possessing firearms or ammunition. The only exception to this is if he is an on-duty law enforcement officer himself. Oh, or a member of the military. What is wrong with the world? I hope that changes, family. Oh, wow. Ooh, never clean up the house right after an assault. Unfortunately, many women do this because they want to erase all memory of the violence. Men do it to hide evidence. But in doing this, you get rid of pieces of broken glass, torn and bloody clothing, clumps of hair pulled from your head, and broken furniture pieces that were used as weapons. This is all potentially important evidence and should be collected in a plastic bag labeled and taken away by the police to store in their property room. The importance of identifying and collecting evidence of domestic violence cannot be overemphasized. Many women who have gone to court to get a restraining order to testify in the abuser's arrest or to get custody of their children have failed it because it came down to their words against his. It's so unfortunate, ladies. So unfortunate. Heaven help us. After years of living with control and intimidation, you may not be able to be objective and remember everything when you speak to the judge. But if you had hard evidence, it does not matter. Even if your abuser had a good attorney or the court is not sympathetic to you, the evidence speaks for itself. What happened to you is a crime, and where it happened is a crime scene. Police have traditionally been more thorough at searching the scene for evidence when the offender was a stranger. Remind them that this is a crime scene and should be treated like one. The more evidence you collect, the more help you can get yourself to build a safer life. Good evidence will make it easy to get a protective order, financial help, stronger punishment for the abuser, and tougher penalties if he does not stay away from you. Police officers should be looking for all evidence of harm or injury to you, such as torn or bloody clothing, damaged furniture, walls, windows, a car or other property, broken objects used as weapons, signs of a break-in through a window, door, or garage. Threatening messages on your answering machine, letters or written messages containing threats, names, numbers of witnesses, diaries, letters, reports, court or hospital documents, photos of you showing cuts, bruises, black eyes, or other signs of physical injury. Photographing your injuries. If a picture is worth 1,000 words, then photographs of your injuries and any damage to your home are critical evidence. In Hawaii, as part of the domestic violence program, police officers carry cameras in their cars in order to take pictures at the crime scene. This may be the case in other jurisdictions as well, but in general, don't expect the police to have a camera with them, despite donations, blah, blah, blah. It's so old. Talk about Polaroids, okay, before cell phones. If you can afford it, buy a camera and always keep the film in hand. Yeah, just keep your phone with you, people. Take your photos on, keep your data, or not your data, oh my gosh, your storage free. Ask the police to use your camera. Ask them to photograph your injuries as well as damage to the surroundings, such as blood on the wall or broken furniture. Remember to take pictures soon after the assault, by the next day if possible, because many bruises will not show up immediately. For example, if you're punched in the eye, it may not turn black and blue for several hours. Have photographs developed where the date is stamped on the print. In the weeks and months that follow the violence, your memories of the event may fade, but the images in the photographs and on the videotape will be there forever. Detailed police report. Police are required to complete a report every time they respond to a domestic violence call, whether your violent partner is arrested or not. This report is the official record of what happened to you, and you will need this report in the future. Take your time to be sure police include all of the information you give them. Be sure they listen to you and write down what you say as well as what they saw. Most cops do hate paperwork, and if they enjoyed filling out forms, they would have become accountants. Okay, I'm just going to move forward. So, you can use it to substantiate your story if you do decide to press charges later. As documented history, it gets you faster response from police and courts when the violence reoccurs. Let's hope you stop that pattern, ladies. If he is arrested, it may help set a higher bail so he can remain locked up longer, and it can be used to show good cause for the court to grant a protective order. It can help the prosecutor win your case in court without having to testify, and it is an important legal document in any proceeding for divorce or child custody. Read the report carefully before you sign it. If anything is incorrect, ask the officers to change it. Police are not hired for their skills as reporters or writers, so ask them to change anything that is not detailed enough, seems misleading, or does not seem accurate or complete. Y'all, that goes across all documents and reports ever in your life, okay? You better read it all, okay? And you check everything to make sure it's not incorrect, okay? Make any changes that are necessary if it's not detailed enough or if it seems misleading, or if any of the details are inaccurate or incomplete, don't sign it. We're going to stick to the highlights for the rest of this chapter. What else your police report will do. Stronger police action can help to protect women, and it can make men think twice, yes, I wish it would, before they use violence. Connect with a domestic violence advocate. Before the police leave, if you choose to stay in the house, don't let the police leave until they have explained what you should do to be safe, or until they have talked with a domestic violence network or crisis line for information and advice. Ask the police what you have to do, and also ask about probable results of the actions. Will he be released before the end of the day or night? How will they keep him away from you if he becomes even more enraged and violent? Would it be best if you left? Can they keep him in custody until you have the locks changed? In some cities, the police or district attorney can help you to get new locks free of charge. Yeah, okay, I doubt it.